Hey guys, and welcome back to Saab Cars. As you can see, it's Christmas time. My name is Marcus, and today's video is things to consider when buying a Saab 9.5 new generation. When I was going to put a title on this video, I first thought of things to consider when buying a used Saab 9.5 new generation. But sadly, there are no new ones, they're all used, so I could just skip that word. The model had its premiere back in 2009 at the auto show in Frankfurt, Germany. Saab filed for bankruptcy in December 2011, and we all know the rest of the story. Being a car model that only lived for about a year, it's been pretty solid and bug-free. The NG95s that are out there now are between 8 and 10 years old, and of course being that old will show itself sooner or later. So first off is the exterior. How's the rust protection? I would say, as with any other modern car, it's not that good. Cars that has been driven in countries where there are roads with snow and salt will probably not be as good as the other ones. It's not too late though. If you want to keep it for a while, I suggest getting a rust protection program going. The roof has some weak points, and that's in the front. Probably due to a thin layer of paint in combination with rock chips here near the windscreen that you get when you drive mostly on highway. And then you have these cavities going from the front to the back, rain channels or whatever. The paint and the clear coat is quite thin, so on many cars it seems like it starts to rust in these channels. I mean, it's not a big deal, it's not a showstopper for you getting a 9.5. You just need to be aware of it and take care of it if necessary. Now let's move on to the lights. So the tail lights, they're a bit tricky to get a hold of, especially the light bar going across the boot. That's almost impossible these days. I hope Orion find a solution for that in the future. In the US taillights, there is a special turn signal bulb that has a very high heat dissipation. We don't have that in the EU, so a solution for that is actually to buy a LED conversion kit for the signal bulb. And that's available on eBay. Also, if the light bar is non-functional, you can get a kit where you replace the electronics and the LEDs inside. It's a DIY kit, so most likely you could do it yourself. That kit is also available for purchase, both on eBay and a homepage here in Sweden. The third brake light tends to lose some diodes over the years, so that also can be repaired using a DIY kit. Links for all of these kits will be in the description section. Now let's move on to the interior, and let's start with the seats. So the heating pads in the seats, they seem to be very sensitive, so you need to take it easy and don't put any knees in the seats. If they're faulty, it will automatically turn off between 30 to 60 seconds after you've pressed the button. You can diagnose this yourself by measuring the resistance through the connector connected to the heat pads. So if you plan on changing this yourself, you actually can. It's not that difficult. You need to get the seat out of the car and disassemble it outside. It's a bit time consuming, but it only requires a few tools. There's actually a video online showing you how to change the heating pads, and I'll put a link to that in the description section. Let's move on to the infotainment system and the control panel. So the rubber on the buttons will eventually wear out. On some control panels the wear is more significant, on others it's hardly noticeable. I guess it depends if you use them and how you use them, I guess. There's a solution for the peeling buttons, and it's actually a kit you buy online on eBay. I'll put a link on it in the description section. And when the Engine 9.5 was released, there were some bugs in the infotainment system causing memory issues. There might still be Engine 9.5s out there running with old software, so my recommendation is to take the car to an authorized dealer and they can help you upgrade the software. And the latest in the EU is E800 and in the US it's U803. So remember that, keep that in mind. If the authorized dealer can't help you, please put a comment in the comment section and I'll point you in the right direction. Next thing is the outdated maps for the navigation. You should be aware that the official upgrade is from 2013 and I recently did that just to have the latest maps in the car. It was actually on sale for 99 euros, so I thought, why not? And the update, it's 2 DVDs. It took nearly 90 minutes for the car to copy the information from the DVD to the hard drive. I guess this is not a big deal. I think you will be better off with the maps on your phone anyway. So the message service steering column lock is quite common and it's the result of a worn-out lock and lack of a software update. You can actually have the software in the car updated, which makes it less sensitive to voltage drops in the system. On a short term, it may be good enough to recharge the battery or disconnect it and reconnect it again. I suggest you make sure that the software is up to date, because if this happens when you're out driving or you have parked and you're trying to drive away, it's basically impossible. That brings me on to the battery, and because there is so much heat in the engine bay, usually they last 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 if you're lucky. It of course depends on how much you drive. So keep that in mind, check the battery status. Now let's move on to the engine bay. This particular model is the Turbo 6, so it has a V6 with a twin-scroll turbo, similar to the one in the Turbo X, although this has a few improvements and better fuel economy. This only came as an automatic, 6-speed automatic. There are also a 2-liter 4-cylinder and a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder available. The 1.6 only came with a 6-speed manual transmission. Although the 1.6 seemed like a small engine for this type of car, maybe it is, but you can actually get an ECU tune for that engine. All of these three, they have timing chains, which means I recommend doing frequent oil changes to keep the engine in good shape, as with any engine. There are also 2 different diesel engines available. It's the TID and it's the TTID, where the TTID is the more powerful version of these 2. That came with a 6-speed manual transmission only. The TID came with an automatic and a manual transmission. Those engines have timing belts and not chains. Next thing to consider is, do you need cross-wheel drive or not? Cross-wheel drive is mandatory on the Turbo 6 and it's optional on the Turbo 4 and the TTID. The TID never came with the cross-wheel drive option, which means you can't get an automatic diesel with cross-wheel drive. Keep that in mind. Having cross-wheel drive adds a bit to the maintenance account because it needs to be serviced every now and then. For me personally, I do a full service every 2nd year, and that means changing 3 different oils, filter and a gasket. There's something called a partial oil change in the rear differential, but from what I understand, that doesn't make much of a difference. So keep doing the full service at least every 2nd year and you'll be safe. When getting the cross-wheel drive service done, make sure the garage know how to do it. Otherwise you might end up with a service cross-wheel drive message in the dash again, and you just need to go back and have the oil topped off. If you have additional information, I think you should place that in the comment section. Some good tips advised regarding buying a 9.5 new generation. This will probably be the last video of 2018, so I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and thank you so much for your support in 2018. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in 2019. Take care.